Hey, what's up guys, and welcome back to another episode of Super Gaming Minute, the channel dedicated to all things Nintendo and gaming. So, we've covered The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, and we've covered Majora's Mask. Now I thought it'd be cool to cover the other, darker, more serious entry in The Legend of Zelda with Twilight Princess. Now, Twilight Princess is the entry that really made me appreciate the series. Ocarina of Time was the title that really got me into the series, and Twilight Princess cemented it for me. The art design, the story, and the overall tone of the entry really had me falling in love with this game. Now, as mentioned before in the previous Zelda 10 Things videos, this year marks the 35th anniversary of The Legend of Zelda, so it's the perfect time to go over this entry. Also, if you haven't seen either of those videos, I'll leave a link to the playlist here so you can go check that out. Oh, also, if you guys like all things Nintendo and gaming, do not forget to subscribe to SGM for more content like this. Don't forget to like the video and comment your favorite Legend of Zelda title down below as well. I love the engagement that you guys provide me in the comments, and I respond to every single comment that's posted. And without further ado, here are 10 things you didn't know about The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. Midna wears a helm created by the Interlopers, a mystical artifact used by the Ancient Ones. Taking a close look at the helm, you could see several similarities between it and Majora's Mask, which has led to many theories claiming that the Interlopers and the Ancient Ones are actually one and the same, or at least a parallel version of one another. I mean, think about it. Majora controls its victims with a mask. Many Twilight, including Zant, wear masks. When battling Link, Zant screams and screeches and distorts his body just as Majora does in his final form. Also, the Interlopers and the Ancient Ones are both described as being heavily skilled magicians who suddenly vanished from Hyrule. But what do you think? Are the Ancient Ones and the Interlopers the same? Are they parallel versions of each other? Or am I just reading way too much into this? Comment below what you think. The armored skeleton in Twilight Princess who teaches Link the hidden skills in the game explains that although he was once a great warrior, nobody remembers him for his heroism. He continues to say that the skills that he is teaching Link can only be taught to those who carry the hero's bloodline, implying that he is Link's descendant. So what could this all mean? Who can Sheik really be? Well, he mentions that he wasn't remembered for his heroism and that he was a descendant of Link's, which seems to imply that he could actually be the hero of time. Looking back at the story of Ocarina of Time, after the events of that story, Link reverses time, and only himself, the sages, and Princess Zelda are aware of the events that took place during the story. And since Majora's Mask happened in a different dimension, the Hylians would be none the wiser of the events that unfolded during Majora's Mask. Not being remembered for such deeds could definitely make a man bitter and depressed. Furthermore, Sheik is a soldier, and as mentioned in our Ocarina of Time episode, Link grows up to marry Marin and becomes a soldier. This theory would eventually be validated in the 2011 book Hyrule Historia. One of the shining lights from Ocarina of Time was the inclusion of Sheik, the badass alter ego of Princess Zelda. Now, fun fact, Sheik was actually planned to appear in Twilight Princess, but was scrapped last minute, which if you ask me would have been a more than welcome addition to the story of Twilight Princess. But not all is lost though, as they later used the design of Sheik in the upcoming Super Smash Bros. Brawl for the Nintendo Wii. Midna doesn't have a reflection. While looking down on the ice in Snow Peak ruins, you can clearly see Wolf Link's reflection, but not Midna's. Now this could easily be chalked up as just being an oversight, but that doesn't explain why the same happens in Link's house when looking in his mirror. Now a good reason for this is because she is Twilight, and Twilight are a race of people who are unable to live in the light world. And in order for you to see a reflection, we depend on light rays to bounce off the shiny object and project the image back to us. Something like that, I don't know. I was never really good at science. Twilight Princess is one of the very few Legend of Zelda games to not include a magic meter. Originally, the magic meter was planned. There's even a screenshot on the back of the game case that shows the magic meter. This meter was supposed to be used to transform Link and Wolf Link, but that idea was obviously scrapped, and since a photo of the magic meter can clearly be seen on the back of the game case, it seems as though it was scrapped pretty late in production. It's kind of funny how game development can take such a big left turn in completely different directions than what was originally planned. For example, that 30-second clip that fans received at E3 that showed Link and Ganon fighting to the death that seemed to tease a brand new, dark, more realistic Legend of Zelda game, that ultimately turned into the lighthearted, cartoony take on the franchise that was Wind Waker. Now, even more bizarre, after the success that was The Wind Waker, Nintendo planned on a follow-up sequel with a working title called Wind Waker 2, which ultimately turned into the darker, more realistic Twilight Princess that fans in the West were hoping for. Crazy how that works. There's even leftover evidence of this fact when going through the game's code. Items such as the Wind Waker itself and flower bombs can be found. Now, this is actually a fact that a lot of people already know, but it's worth mentioning for the people who don't know. Link is normally a left-handed protagonist. Go back and look at the earlier games in the franchise and this will be pretty evident. But in order to make the game more accessible on the Wii, they switched our hero from a left-handed hero to a right-handed hero, since that's what the majority of gamers play and would be a lot more comfortable for most people to play. But the version of Twilight Princess on the GameCube has Link as a lefty. Instead of going through the process of redoing Link's model, Nintendo had decided to just flip the Wii version horizontally, reversing the positions of everything from east to west. So what's the biggest complaint that Twilight Princess seems to get? Probably the fact that the tutorial is almost an hour long. Originally, the tutorial was much shorter. So what happened? Why did they decide to go and make the tutorial 3 times longer than what was originally planned? Why did they decide to piss me off and keep me from exploring dungeons for so long? Well, Shigeru Miyamoto thought the original tutorial was too short because he thought the average player would need a little bit more time to get used to the motion controls of the Wii, which means if the game would have stuck to its original platform on the GameCube, we might have had an even better playing experience than what we got on the Wii. Or maybe not. Because Miyamoto changed the tutorial from having Link stay in Ordon Village for a total of 3 days instead of 1 day, the developers were forced into fleshing out the game that much more. They had to add more characters, more themes, other new areas, new items, and even write more dialogue. IMDb is normally credited as being a very reliable source of media, but hey, even the best of us slip up once in a while. Now this is so far-fetched and unbelievable that it's actually kind of funny that someone would believe this. There was a rumor going around that during the production of Twilight Princess, that rapper 50 Cent was involved in the game, which, okay sure, I mean 50 did have his own game on the PS2, it might make some sense that he'd be involved in another game. Hell, it's even possible that they might even use his likeness or name in the Nintendo franchise. I mean, they did use Trent Reznor in Super Mario World, right? But having him voice a non-verbal horse just seems ridiculous. That's right, there was a rumor going around that 50 Cent was supposed to voice Link's trusty steed Epona, and IMDb added 50 to the credits section of the IMDb page. Talk about a waste of resources. I mean, how much money do you think 50 would have asked for in order to play a speechless horse? It's absolutely crazy. The developers of Twilight Princess played around with multiple new functions and different ways to make the game stand out from past outings of the franchise, including possibly eliminating being able to cut tall grass. But one big change of the mechanics was to make Link fight enemies in the first person. This perspective ultimately didn't show the variety of Link's movements, so this mechanic was scrapped. But it was a necessary turning point that made the developers think about using the Wii Remote's pointer to shoot arrows. Alright guys, and that's it. That is my list of 10 things you didn't know about The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. I hope you guys enjoyed this and are getting pumped for The Legend of Zelda's 35th anniversary. Are there any facts on this list that I missed and should have included? Sound off in the comments section below. On a slightly different note, there are a ton of exciting rumors going on right now concerning The Legend of Zelda's 35th anniversary, which talks about multi-pack Zelda titles that will include Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask on Switch, as well as a remastered version of Skyward Sword, and even Breath of the Wild 2 coming out for holiday 2021. Guys, what a wonderful time to be a fan of The Legend of Zelda. I'm so excited to see what they come up with. But more importantly, I want to know what you guys think is going to happen for the anniversary. Do you think they'll release a multi-pack as they did with Mario? Or do you think they'll take a different approach? And with that said, guys, we drop 2 new videos like this every week, so do not forget to subscribe to SGM for more. Also, like and share this video around with another Zelda fan. And did I already say subscribe? Because, you know, that would be pretty cool if you did. Thanks so much, guys. Have a great day, and as always, keep on gaming.
It's 50.
Was that 50? Was that actually... Is that 50?